Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. I'm glad to see y'all here today. In today's video, we are just going to be talking Elvis Week. In case you don't know, Elvis Week is an annual celebration that happens in Memphis, Tennessee, August 9th through the 17th, where Elvis fans from around the world gather to celebrate the life and legacy of Elvis Presley, also the life and legacy of Lisa Marie Presley. This year, we, like I said, celebrated Lisa. She had an untimely passing in January, and so this year we also celebrated Lisa. Graceland hosts a wide variety of events, from ETAs to concerts to talks to mansion tours to stable tours. They offer a plethora of activities. I only did 3 activities this year, but next year I definitely plan on doing more. Other places outside of Graceland also hosts tours like Lauderdale Courts and the Memphian Theater that you are also able to book. I highly recommend doing the Memphian tour and Lauderdale Courts, especially Lauderdale Courts, since that is where he grew up, and that was his first stable home he ever had. And the Memphian Theater is also a must-do if you're in town for Elvis Week. One of the best parts about Elvis Week is meeting friends who are new and friends who are old, friends who you met on Instagram and friends you met in person. It is the best time to meet friends. Elvis Week is the best place for an Elvis fan because you do feel like you belong. You feel the warmth and energy of Elvis Week because you know everybody there loves Elvis, and you just feel like you belong, and you don't have to feel like an outcast. You can dress up, you can sing the songs, you can dance, you can do anything you want because everybody there would do it too. This year was my second Elvis Week. First full Elvis Week, the second Elvis Week. I did 3 events this year. I did the 68 comeback concert, the Aloha concert, and the celebration of life of Lisa Marie Presley. Out of all of them, if I had to choose one, I think my favorite would be the Aloha concert. They put a live band up on stage with Elvis singing on a jumbotron. So he's singing the Aloha concert while their live band is playing in the back, or playing up on stage, and they timed it perfectly. When the audience would clap and cheer, Elvis would say, thank you very much, you're a wonderful audience. And that definitely was touching. Definitely cried at the end because it literally felt like he was up on stage. It felt like you were watching the jumbotron because you were sitting too far back and seeing him up on stage. He was there. I know he was. His presence was there, and the band did a wonderful job. And they brought out Glenn Harden, Elvis' pianist, who I actually got to meet. He is one of the sweetest. He's so sweet. I absolutely love Glenn, so I actually got to meet Glenn. I will put a picture here for you guys to see. But he was so kind to take a selfie with me when I met him first. When I went up there, I was like, Mr. Glenn, can I get a selfie with you? And he's like, sure. And so he put his arm on my shoulder, and I absolutely loved it. That was definitely one of the highlights of the whole trip. And so they brought him about halfway through the show, and he was doing the piano while Elvis was singing. And then Elvis introduced the band, and when he introduced Glenn stood up and everybody was clapping.
And the piano is Glenn Harden. The guy that gives him
everything like that. It was a really cool experience. If you ever get to see Elvis in concert like that with a live band playing, I highly recommend it because there's no other feeling like that. Like he's really there. Like you saw him in concert, even though he's been gone for 46 years. He's there. You know he is. You can feel his presence up on that stage, and people clapping and moving. It's really like you were at one of his concerts. It was so cool. The other concert I did was the 68 comeback concert, and they had him playing up on the bigger screen than the Aloha, but they had him playing up there. And then about the last 2 songs they played were the gospel melody and If I Can Dream, and for those 2 songs they brought out a gospel choir. definitely when they played If I Can Dream with the gospel choir, that definitely was like waterworks there. I mean, I think everybody I talked to afterwards has like a little tear running down their face. It was definitely that was definitely a cool experience with the gospel choir. And then the third thing I did was the celebration of life over Lisa. Now, if you may recall, I was actually fortunate enough to attend her celebration of life in January, and that was really special. So this year I did in August, or a few weeks ago, I did a celebration of life at Grayson, and so they brought out Jerry Schilling, Linda Thompson, and a few other people to talk about Lisa. And Jerry, he's one good talker. He can definitely talk and make you cry. And they started off with Jerry's speech at the celebration of life. They started with that, with his speech, and his speech itself is just an emotional to listen to. And then Linda was brought out, and she would tell stories about her and Lisa, and those were really heartwarming. And I really appreciate her telling those personal stories. And then they played some songs, and that was pretty special. I was actually given this button. That button is just really special, and that was actually the night of the candlelight vigil. So not only did we pay respect to Elvis, but we also paid respect to Lisa. She just, it's very heartbreaking what happened to her, and so I was really happy I was able to pay my respects to her, to Elvis and Lisa that night. Some of the other things I did during Elvis week was I toured Lauderdale Courts in the Memphian. Lauderdale Courts is one of Elvis's first long-term houses or apartments he stayed in while in Memphis. He had never stayed in one place for a while, but he lived in Lauderdale Courts for a really long time. It's where he graduated from high school from while he lived in Lauderdale Courts. He met Dixie while he lived in Lauderdale Courts. A lot of things happened while he lived in Lauderdale Courts. So during Elvis week, and I think birthday week, they allow you to tour the property. I think it's like $15 a tour for like a 15 to 20 minute tour. It's not really big inside. You can actually rent it out for a night and sleep where Elvis slept, which is definitely one thing I'm gonna do one time. So yeah, you basically walk in, and there are some original things. The carpet in the living room is original. I think the sink in the kitchen's original. I forget what else is original. There's a few things that are original in there, and so obviously I had to touch them. And you can kiss the wall. You can obviously kiss the wall. You can sit on his bed. Now, obviously, it's not the original mattress and all that, but the fact that he stayed in that room was really cool. And that's a really cool place. The footprints, that one famous photo where he's holding his hand out like this, or I think he may have a gun in his hand. I don't know, but he was doing that, and that famous photo is there, and so I obviously had to recreate the famous photo. And then the other tour I did the Memphian tour. Now, thanks to Kristen, on Hidden About Elvis, I will link her Instagram page down into the description. She toured the Memphian, and so she was putting the word out there, and so I know a lot of other people who toured the Memphian, and that was an amazing tour. Courtney, the tour guide, she knows pretty much everything there is about the Memphian. She's absolutely amazing. They have row 8, which apparently is the row he loved to sit in. They have Elvis's chair you can sit in. You can walk up on stage. You can walk in and out of the doors they believe he walked into. When you first pull up to the Memphian, it's not called Memphian anymore, but when you first pull up to it, the doors on the outside are original. Some of the windows are original. The bathrooms are most part of the bathrooms are original. The stairs upstairs are original. There's just so much originality to it. It is well preserved and well maintained, and it is definitely something you should do if you tour Elvis week. Or if you go to Elvis week, definitely tour it. And like I said, Courtney, she knows her stuff. I think my favorite thing that I did during this Elvis week was meeting up with all the friends I had made on Instagram. Everybody I met was super nice. I just absolutely love meeting everybody. I just want to thank, and I will link everybody's YouTube page and Instagram page down below, but like Mary and Travis and Nadia, my Elvis twin, I love Nadia, Kristen and Margarita and Benita. It's everybody I've met, Mari, Alex. I just loved meeting up with them, Kelsey. I absolutely loved meeting up with everybody, and everybody was super sweet. And the best thing about it is that they love the same man you do, and they love everything about him, the same things you do about him. And so it's just really, really, really cool to meet people who you met through Elvis, and they share your love, and you don't have to worry about if they don't like him or not, because you know they like him. And so that was probably my favorite thing to that was probably one of my favorite things that I did during Elvis week, was meeting up with all my friends and hanging out with them and making new friends. I cannot wait till we see each other again. I also gotta thank Michael and Jay from Elvis Back on Tour for taking the time to talk to me and talk to my family. We really appreciate it. Also, I gotta give a huge shout out to my friend Lexi who works with John at his Summerfest. She is one of my best friends now. Been one of my best Elvis friends, and I absolutely loved hanging out with her. Something else I think I suggest you guys do if you ever go to Elvis Week is to make yourself an autograph book. This is the one I made this year. It is of the saber-tooth jumpsuit. And so it's just my Elvis Week 2023 autograph book, and you just have your friends sign it. It's like a yearbook basically. So if you just have like your friends sign it and stuff like that, is nice little keepsake for Elvis Week 2023. I got the idea from one of my good friends, and so I really love it. So definitely have to make one for next year. But if you guys ever go to Elvis Weekend, or if it's your first Elvis Week, you should definitely get this book. You never know who you're gonna run into. Also, something you guys should think about is doing this thing called the TCB Pass. It's like $30 some odd, but it goes the duration of Elvis Week, so the 9th to the 17th of August, and it gives you access into the complex, to the airplanes, free parking after 5, and something called the tent, where some ETAs and some other singers will perform. It's definitely worth it for the week, because the planes and complex itself is like $40 some odd, so just even for one day it's worth it. So if you guys go, definitely do the TCB Pass. Well, that's the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you got some tips for your upcoming Elvis Week. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram at thatepcal. I will put in the link below, but feel free to message me any questions. I would be happy to answer them. I hope you guys have a good day, and TCB.